Okay, so we are on part 3 of Tehilim Chaf Gimel, and we're going to try to land the plane. Last time, what we did was we did Isaiah's approach, and then we did the Radak with a seasoning of Ibn Ezra. All right, and I want to go through. We're not going to review all of the questions again. I want to go through it, and I want to go through the Radak again, and really try to get as much as we can out of the Radak, and like the ultimate goal is going to be to answer Adler's first and fourth question, which is what's the main idea and then what's the purpose. But hopefully we'll get a bunch of other answers also. Okay, so let's review this with his translation. Mizmor LeDavid, Hashem ro'i la'achsar, Psalm of David, Hashem is my shepherd. And then Radak really had in there, therefore I will not lack. Okay, like it's a an argument really. Binaos desha yarbiteni, almeminos nahaleni. In grassy meadows, he causes me to lie down. Alongside tranquil waters, he leads me. Nafshi yishovev. So not that he restores my soul, but he grants repose to my soul. I don't know if that matters. But then here's the key thing. Yanchini b'magle tzedek. He guides me on level paths. Leman shemo. Hold on. Yeah, for the sake of his name. So we said that solves the fact that now you don't have any like incongruous thing in the sheep mashal, because sheep are not righteous, but they do walk on level paths. And we still have to explain for the sake of his name. Okay. Gam ki elech b'geit lo ira ra ki ata imadi. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no harm, evil, or badness. I'm pretty sure that Radak takes this as harm, but we'll keep all three translations up anyway, because you are with me. Shivtecha umishantecha yanachmuni. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me, or they will comfort me. Tarach lefanai shulchan neged tzorai. You set before me a table opposite my tormentors. Dishanta v'Hashem en roshi kosi revaya. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yimei chayai. May, so he does say, may only good and kindness chase me all the days of my life. Vishavti b'veis Hashem la'orach yamim, and I shall either repose or return, I guess, repose in or return to the house of Hashem for long days. Okay, so so let's go through really quickly Isaiah's approach, just to have in the back of our minds, because I really am, I do think that there is a way to harmonize all these in some way. Okay, but we'll read this, and we'll go through this again, but then we'll focus on the Radak. So Isaiah wanted to say that it is about how life in this world is preparation for life in the world to come. Hashem is his shepherd, and he won't lack anything because Hashem set up everything to facilitate that goal in Olam Hazeh, providing him with all of his needs. The fear of death is nothing to David because he knows that this life isn't the only life, and he's journeying towards Olam Haba. The tormentors are perplexed about David's life, and they get the opposite of what he has, meaning they can't understand his value system, and so they're just sitting there like, jaw dropped. And then I wanted to say that it means that the tormentors are like opposite him in Olam Haba, that David Melech uses Olam Hazeh properly and then gets Olam Haba, and the tormentors are not getting that. And then at the end, he wants the goodness and kindness to chase him in this world because he's aligned with the system. Or my interpretation was all the last pasuk is a reference to Olam Haba, because it's Yom Shekula Tov and Yom Shekula Aruch, and Beis Hashem is a reference to Olam Haba, and you're in the state of stationary, like you're not moving. Tzadikim yoshvim v'atrosem b'roshem v'nenimizim v'shchina. Yeah, so that was Isaiah's approach. Okay, now before we go to the Radak, you had an approach at the end of the first time. Do you still remember that? Oh, I forgot to plug in the mic. Okay, fine. All right. Through the Radak, and if anyone wants the Radak, I've got extra copies here. And we're going to go through it slowly, because I kind of read it fast last time to get it all out. But let's go through it slowly. Okay, so first thing he says, and I did skip last time. He does say Mizmor LeDavid, HaMizmor Hazeh Amru David al Atzmo Kishiyat Mitzar LeRevacha. So he said it about himself when he emerged from distress to relief. O Nemar al Yisrael Sheyomru Kein B'Tzeisam Mehagalos. Or it was about Israel that they said it when they'll say it when they emerge from the Galus. And that's why it came after the first one. We're just going through the whole Radak again. Okay. There's a Radak there if you want. Okay, so then Radak goes through the Midrashic interpretation, which we're not doing because that links it up to particular things in David's life. Okay, then he says pshat. V'ata afarish hamizmor al derech pshuto. And what I did last time was I highlighted the lines that my theory came from. So we'll just I'll try to draw attention to it. Okay. And this time I'm going to talk through it as I go through it, and we'll analyze it as we go. I don't want to like do the whole reading and then analysis. We'll do it as we go. Hashem ro'i himshel atzmo laseh v'akel leroeh. He compares himself to a sheep and God to a shepherd. V'amar, he says Hashem ro'i v'keven shehu ro'i roeh osi lo achzor davar. Since he is my shepherd, I will lack nothing. Okay, right? So this is the first move, which we said that it's not describing an automatic reality. It's saying that if you regard Hashem as your shepherd in the manner that is described here, then you will not lack anything. Okay, so you have to, like all of Tehilim, you have to engage Hashem in that manner in order for Hashem to engage you in that manner. You can't just magically, let's put it this way, I'll put it in QT terms, but I mean this seriously. You can't be, Hashem cannot be your shepherd this way unless you are his sheep this way. Okay, so the question is going to be, how do you make yourself into a sheep in the, not like the internet, like sheeple sense, but in the like, the way the Dove is describing here. Okay.
You see the stuff in the dairy. You see the stuff in the dairy toaster, like that. Yeah, but it doesn't on it. Is it chilled meat though?
We have a situation here. Yeah.
Is there mamashas in it?
I'm not the yeshiva's posted.
How much does the reheat option, or does that not matter? So I don't think it's up to.
You got to ask your posek. Okay.
Check if there's mamashas in it.
Or check if there's mamashas. Either way, well, you'll handle it on your own, or you won't handle it. But we're going to continue going. All right. Yeah. All right. So binos desha in lush meadows. So then I'm skipping all of the grammatical proofs. V'haroeh hatov. Okay. So now this is where we have to learn what it means to be a sheep to Hashem. Okay. So part of this is describing how Hashem behaves towards us, but part of this is describing like what we have to do. Okay. So haroeh hatov noheg esono v'roeh osan b'makom desha. So the good shepherd guides his flock and grazes them in a grassy place. Visham yate ohalo, and that's where he plants his tent. I can never remember how to vocalize this. Yiru baboker uvinatoso hayom uve'es hatzarayim yarbiten betel ohalo. So when so he grazes them in the morning when it's like nice out, okay, but then as it starts getting hotter, he shelters them under the shade of his tent. As it says, Eicha tira, fine, proof. And when he wants to give them water, he guides them along tranquil waters. Water that goes slowly, lest the water sweep them away. Okay, so not threatening waters. All right, nafshi yoshovev, he gives repose to my soul. Yaniach, meaning he gives it menucha. Kmo haroeh hatov, just like a good shepherd. Shlo yegea hatzon, he doesn't exert or exhaust the sheep. V'lo yadachafan ela, and he doesn't like push them, pressure them. Ela yanahalen la'at, he guides them gently. Kmo bizar o yikabes talaim v'cheko yisa alos yanahel. Okay. V'yeshoviv is meaning b'shuva b'nachas. It means rest. Yanchini b'malei tzedek mo haroeh hatov shelo yinhag tono b'harim v'lo yaviran mehar el har v'lo yitridan lelechas mehar el giva el b'mishar. So he doesn't take them from mountain to mountain or mountain to valley. He guides them on a plain. Kenhu yanchini b'malei tzedek. This he does on level paths. V'chozeh leman shemo. Okay, that's another thing I forgot to highlight. All of this is for his name's sake. Not that lo shani roy lakach, not that I deserve it. Yeah, Tamar?
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering, I forgot what the Hebrew word was, something of tzedek, the past of tzedek.
Yeah, magle tzedek.
Yeah. Do you think, I feel like you have to say, not that you have to focus on this in your learning, that the use of the word tzedek in the talking about level paths, even if that's a shot, is like also hinting to something else. Okay,
so yes and no. Okay, I like that because that is kind of like in Mishlei where he uses words, obscure words with ambiguity instead of the clear term because he wants to allude to something. And that does fit because we are ultimately talking about tzedek. On the other hand, though, we said last time, we remember the pasuk after, what was it?
I forgot to read it, but I know this is Ephah tzedek.
Yeah, I'm going to actually get the pasuk this time so we don't embarrass ourselves. Ephas tzedek. Even Shlema.
Eventually, tzedek tiyala.
Yeah, right.
That's the second pasuk though.
Okay, Mosne tzedek, Avne tzedek, Ephas tzedek, Vihin tzedek, Yel lachem. That's not the one we were talking about. Mosne tzedek, Ephas tzedek. No, that's yeah. All right, so I guess it was this one then. Mosne tzedek. So this means calibrated scales, Avne tzedek, or like even scales, Avne tzedek, equal weights or calibrated just weights, Ephas tzedek. So the word does have this implication of like even. I just want to click on this and see what it says. From the BDB. Interesting.
I think it's all rightness.
Rightness, yeah. Yeah. So tomorrow I'm inclined to agree with you, but like it does have a meaning of like evil and level. And then I also was reading in the Meiri on Tehilim. The Meiri gives a similar approach, which is Magle Tzedek Rotzelomer Derech Yashar, straight. Ki hatzedek v'yosher inyan echad. Tzedek and yosher mean the same thing. So it could just be like straight paths, you know. So I hear you, but like I don't know if you have to say that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think either way, even if you think it's like quite likely that this is an illusion, you don't have to focus on it. I wasn't saying that anyway.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Tomorrow was just pointing out that like tzedek has it's such a loaded term that like you have to assume that even if you're going to read it as level paths, you have to assume that like he chose this loaded term deliberately, you know. And when he could have just said like, you know, magle, you know, like mesilas yesharim, you know, whatever, yeah, right, smooth path, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, onward. Gam ki elek begit talmavis, gam im yikre li she'ehye b'makom sakana shu doma legate talmavis. Even if, okay, this is the linked metaphors here. So even if I'm in a dangerous place that resembles the veil of death's shadow, gave a talmavis hu hakever. So death's shadow is the grave. Shu makom hachoshech, which is the place of darkness. She'amar in Eov b'terem elech v'lo ashuv el eretz choshech v'talmavis. Okay, so really he's saying, even if I am in tsara, but I'm calling tsara the kever, and I'm calling the kever Gates Amavis. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So really what it means is if I'm in a case of tsara, in a situation of tsara. All right. Since David was in harm's way many times, he said, Amar lo ira ra, I will not fear harm. Kimi rov bitchono bakel. So this is the key line, one of the key lines. Due to his great trust in God, lo haya yare shiavuhu ra. Then he was not afraid that evil would come to him. Ki ata imadi, because you are with me. You know? So at this point, if you stopped it, we said this could be talking about a high level of hashgacha where David Melech is righteous or he has knowledge of God and therefore God's going to protect him from stuff. But then he says, no, she'ata imadi, you are with me, kamo im kol dorshecha, just like you're with everyone who seeks you. Okay, so that to me is what opened it up, because what this means is that this is not talking about super level of hashgacha like Tehilim 91. This is talking about something that any Doresh Hashem can tap into, which radically shifts the meaning. Yeah. Is that
it sounded more to me that he was saying that whatever he's doing is at some sort of lower level than the people who are seeking God, which I thought was interesting. Meaning just as you are with those who seek you. Meaning you're with the Sha'ata Imodi Kimo in cold. I mean,
interesting. Yeah, I don't see where it's necessarily lower. I mean, it's definitely equal to.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And again, this reflects back also on the sheep, that if you are a sheep looking for your shepherd, you know, in the mushal, that's what David is in the Nimshal here. Okay, like that's how it has to be. Sheep are not in the realm of like meriting hashgacha pratis. In fact, I think actually there's a good raya, right? Is that there are times when David says that because of who he is, then he deserves, you know, like because I have known you, you know. or something like that. I'm quoting from Avra. God talking about Avra. I feel like there's got to be a. I would bet money on this, even though I don't know Tehilim Kufiyot test. I bet that there is a pasuk in Kufiyot test where he talks about how God protects him because he has knowledge of God. I feel like there's one like that. Right? So that's like God's chesed extends specifically to those who know his name, to those who know God. But there are plenty of psukim, or in Ashrei. What's the one that we say in Ashrei about? Right, but that's the Kol Korah. Shomer es kol ohovav, right? So that's a shmira of those who are ohavav, right? So this is not talking about that. I don't think this is talking about a shmira that is or a bitachon that's accessible to all of us. Yeah. Okay, so that's a big hint. So since he compared God to a shepherd, he says your staff and your mishenes. So the shepherd guides his flock with the staff in his hand, and he rests on it when he's standing. But Amar, and he says, they comfort me, even though it's only one staff. Okay, so linguistically it's two. David, Chesed Hakel v'tzidko hayu lo shevet umishenes. God's kindness and righteousness, acted for him like a shevet and mishenes. V'yinachamuhu mikol tzara, and they comforted him from all tzara. Now we had a question on this last time, which was it?
Yeah.
Which I couldn't remember. What was the?
Well, in the metaphor, it's that
It's God.
that the shepherd uses the staff to help themselves.
Right.
But here he's saying that David is using the staff.
Unless it's God.
So the mashal kind of gets flipped.
Okay, hold on a second. Chesed Hakel v'tzidko hayu lo shevet umishenes v'yinachamuhu mikol tzara. So can you read it as?
Next line, I think.
Shevet b'lechtov mishenes b'almdo. Right. Okay, but can you read it like this? Can you read it that God's chesed and tzedek function for David as a shepherd's staff functions for his sheep? Because just like the sheep gets comfort from the shepherd by being led when he's moving with the shevet, and then when he's standing with the mishenes, so too David gets comfort from God's chesed and God's tzedek. I think that works out, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, good. All right. So that works. So we still have to explain it, but that's what he's talking about. So now this is another piece of the puzzle here, okay, which is that this is a actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just do a quick running summary of the main points. Hold on, just 1 second. Summary of the main points. Okay, which is that if you what's the word I'm looking for? Not look at yourself. If you play the role of the sheep and see God as your shepherd, then you will lack nothing and receive all the benefits described here. Okay, then this is not hold on, there's one more point before this. Oh yeah. The shepherd does not do all this nice stuff for the sheep for their sake because they deserve it, but because it's part of his of his reputation. Okay, so that's for in the sheep mushal. Okay, then we have the David is not trusting Hashem to protect him in the manner that he protects those who are on a high level of righteousness or avas Hashem. Rather, he is trusting in Hashem to protect him like he protects all those who seek him. And then the last point was, just as the shepherd's staff comforts the sheep when in motion and stationary, so too the chesed Hashem and tzedek Hashem, comfort David, comfort David. Okay, yeah, yeah, Oren.
Oh, I have a question back on the staff thing though.
Yeah.
How does in the mashal, how does the sheep get benefit when the shepherd is standing still and leaning on his staff?
So I think it's because he's out. I'm picturing that he's out there like watching over them. So it means like he's standing there for a very, very long time, as opposed to, let's say, like just wandering off or like going back to his tent. Like he's standing there and like the sheep can see him and know that there's like a protection there.
Okay.
I'm projecting onto the sheep, but I feel like we're supposed to do that here. You know? Yeah, Tamar?
The question is about just the use of the term dorshecha, which I feel like we're learning a lot out of.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more what that word would mean?
Yeah. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have bitachon in the Radak. Where do we use dorshecha in a pasuk in Tehilim that we say?
The dorshecha that we did.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in.
The way Santa.
Yeah. Was that 26?
No,
I'm sorry, that's not how you spell it.
23.
23? 23 is the one we're doing now. Dorshav. Yeah, right, right. Zedor Dorshav. That's gonna be way too many results. Oh no. Oh no. Let's go back. Okay. Dorshav. Like that? Dorshav. Let's see. Yeah, right. That was 27, right?
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, 24. Yeah, the next one. Okay. I just want to see what the Radak says on this. Oh, were we let down by the Radak on this? Oh, so he's not talking about the individual. Yeah, I feel like we had, was it Sforno? No, that's Bitfila. Okay, yeah, I'll tell you what I mean by it tomorrow. What I mean is, if you are someone who is prioritizing the seeking of Yedias Hashem, you know, and everything that you're doing is a means of doing that, so then it's the midah of seeking Yedias Hashem, not the level of attainment of Yedias Hashem, that gives you this quality.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Fine.
Practically, well, how are those two things different?
Meaning that you could be an average person or a Moshe Rabbeinu. Oh, maybe not Moshe Rabbeinu. You should have been known. And you're at different levels of seeking. Sorry, you're at different levels of knowledge, but you could be seeking Hashem with the same drive. You know, like let's say the person who's having the Ahavas Hashem experience that Shlomo describes in Shir Shirim is looking for the beloved, but they might not have the same level of knowledge of Hashem to be a Navi, but the drive of seeking is the same. You know, like they're Lishma, they're, you know, Mis'ava Tava Gadola Leda Hashem Gadol.
It seems like a bigger conversation, but I don't understand it, but
okay. Or if it's easier, I mean, when did Avraham start being a Dor Hashem? When he was what, 4, 3, and then he you know, finished reached his conclusion when he was 40, right? So the entire time he was a Dorish Hashem, but like the level of knowledge he attained was undoubtedly greater at 40 than it was at 3.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay, yeah, maybe I don't understand your question. Okay, so now we switch over to the Nimshal. Tarach lefanai shulchan neged tzorai. Ata heishif hamashal melitza. Now he goes from the mashal to the reality. There's no good translation of nimshal, right? In English, there's got to be some poetic term for that.
Probably.
For nimshal, yeah. The metaphor and the metaphor and no, I don't know. Whatever. Tarach lefanai shulchan.
The metaphor.
Meta too, yeah. Tarach lefanai shulchan neged tzorai. So this one we had a difficult time with. Shiur bichvodi. So why is he setting up a table in front of his enemies? So that they'll see my glory. V'yirkav atzmam lekinasam, and their bones will rot with envy. Right?
Classic.
Yeah, right. So the question we had was like, why is he wanting this to happen? That seems a little gratuitous. And this is the only appearance of the enemies here. Right? Dishanda b'shemin roshi hashemin hu halechus. So the shemin is the moisture. V'im yihi harosh dashen yihi tein kol haguf. Yeah, right. Okay, all over. Ritzono lomar ki lo yachsar davar ki kol ma shu tzarech li hazmin lokal. Okay, so this signifies that he will lack nothing, for everything that he needs will be provided by God. So this is what led me to the Ibn Ezra, right? So the Ibn Ezra is the one who said, and I am consciously like grafting the Ibn Ezra onto the Radak right now. Okay, I know grafting is usher, but when we're learning Tehilim, then we can we can pick and choose based on what's good shot. So Ibn Ezra said, I'm just going to read him again here. So he learned that the main theory was, this is the wrong perek, that's why I'm not finding it. Hatam kasher tevoena, nope. Different hatam. Vatam zeh mizmor al avdei Hashem ha'oslim taivas ha'olam ve'im smechim b'chalkam. So the meaning of this mizmor is that it's on the servants of Hashem who abandon worldly desires and they rejoice in their portion. V'yachshavu ki lechem u'mayim keneged kol tainug hamat amim. And they think that bread and water, even bread that came in contact with the dairy toaster, is they say it's okay, it's good. Yeah, I figured that was okay, and you weren't just being a Russia in front of us. That you got an answer, yeah. Anyway, they think of bread and water is equal to like delicacies, right? Why? Because they are happy with what they have. Because their thoughts and their heart are on the enjoyments of Olam Haba. Therefore, they leave aside momentary pleasure for eternal pleasure. That's what all of his hope is. And I saw someone else say this also. The shiuri, the Elia de Nולה, Ravadiya Sforno, shiuri Ravadiya Sforno, yeah, says like this. Shazam Mizmor Asau Hamishor Lishol Me'es Hashem Shemizonosav Yu Muruvachim Vishlo B'tzar. So he learns that God, that the Mizmor is to ask God for your livelihood or your mizonos to be profitable and without pain. So you can place all of your time and energy or your time for avodas Hashem. Since Hashem is my shepherd, I will not lack. I won't lack anything. Lo chasarta davar. Mikumakum any chasar davar, ainly gam kain davar yeser. So I won't lack anything, but I also won't have excess. Shahaya kamidbar Yisrael. I think that's a midbar Yisrael. I think that's a reference to a pasuk. Hadora tem ru'u davar Hashem hamidbar hayisi Yisrael. I was a wilderness to Israel. Im eretz ma'apelia. I don't know what that means, but I think he's learning that to mean that like Israel is able to be content with not a lot of stuff. Shlo hedif lo hechsir, not too much and not too lacking. Kol echad mehem, each one of them. Va'ani hayisi rote amar hamashar shehi li mazun b'ribuy uvegadim. Wait. Va'ani hayisi rote amar hamashar shehi li mazun b'ribuy uvegadim v'chol tzarech l'rov. Is he saying? I thought he was saying he didn't want that. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that throws a wrench in that theory. Was I thinking of someone else? There's someone else who says something similar about how he wants like derech mitzua, like he wants a moderate amount of stuff. Was it? Oh, actually, maybe it was the actual Sforno. Maybe that's why I got it mixed up. Where are you, actual Sforno? Yeah, nafshi yeshovev mehavle ha'olam. So my soul is I don't know how he's learning Yeshovev, but from the vanities of this world. Yanchin b'magle tzedek b'mitzua means with moderation. Tomorrow I was going to reference you to this also. The tzedek can mean right in the sense of like just the right amount. So mitzua shlo ate el ktavos, that I don't go to the extremes. L'man shemo shlo yischal al yadi. Right. So I was learning this here as that you're going to have everything. God's going to make everything prepared for you, but that's only if you align your desires with what is necessary for you and what's a moderate amount. Then you'll find that you have everything you need. Kosi revaya, my cup overflows. Klomar shehi sevea umlea la'olam. That it'll be full. I'll be satiated and it'll be full forever. Vihiu la'olam sveim hashosim ba, and all who drink from it will always be satiated. Chose l'rav hatov. This will come from the great goodness that God has granted him and his whole household. And I'm learning that the great goodness means like, by these standards, not like, fantastic. Although now I'm questioning, why are his enemies going to be jealous of him then? I mean, maybe it'll be that if he's content with this stuff, then he will get other things. Like he's gonna get other prosperity. I mean, he is like, you know, following the Ratzon Hashem, and it's not like we say that God, you know, Avram got rich, you know, like, Oren.
I think the jealousy is like, because this is all for God's sake. So
Right.
They're gonna be jealous, and then they're gonna think about it, and they're gonna realize, oh, this is all for God. So normally
Right.
making people jealous is bad.
Yeah.
Because
Okay, good.
Them to, you know, envy you, but here it's gonna actually lead to a higher.
Okay, so that actually is answering our jealousy question. There's actually yeah. So I'm just gonna restate that for a second here. I'll type them later. So here's the thing: is your enemies okay? David is going to end up in a good spot. Okay, the enemies, because they're who they are going to be jealous no matter what. So the question is, what do you do with the fact that the enemies are jealous of you? So you could like just ignore the haters, but that would be a certain lack because it could expose you to then like becoming either like blindsided by them or like not taking them seriously. But if instead you incorporate it into your value system of Laman Shemo, you know, and realize like all of this glory is not for me, it's for the Malchus, and this is the Malchus Hashem, so then you can channel it for the good. And it's good that they're envious of the Mashiach Hashem, because that is what everyone should strive to be like. Yeah. Yeah, Chaim?
I was gonna say why they would be envious. I mean, you were saying like
Yeah.
these are things that they don't appreciate. But I think that the state that he's in is something that they can appreciate. Meaning they can say this guy's happy. Right?
Yeah.
This guy's like feeling fulfilled.
Yeah.
And it might be that it's through means that they don't understand, but they can understand the end, which is again what he's at, and be like, oh, I'm jealous of feeling fulfilled and accomplished.
Right. Yeah. You know, I'll tell you the weird vibe that I just got, or another vibe, the association I got, which is that if you've ever watched celebrity interviews, okay, and then I don't actually have anyone in mind when I'm saying this, but like there is such a thing as like the normal celebrity who's like not tainted by the fame, and there's a certain admiration you get for a person like that of like, wow, they're like surrounded by like fame and riches, and like they're a normal person, you know. There's got to be some sort of thing, I'm sure, that David HaMelech's tormentors saw, that like not many people could be in that situation. You know, I'm sure people look at Marcus Aurelius the same way of like, this guy is the most powerful man in the world, and like he's contenting himself with like normal like food and like, you know, selling the possessions of the palace in order to like raise money to cure the plague or whatever, you know, whatever he did. Yeah. Tamar?
I was gonna say on this point also, I don't know if this really fits in, maybe it does. That if the people are enemies of David and they're really enemies of Hashem, and they kind of want to be proving from David's life, like I mean, I feel like people do this with the Jews in general, but I'm just try and keep it on this. Like, David's so miserable. Oh, it's because he's not living the right way, kind of. You know, it's like a proof. Which it shouldn't really be. But like,
right.
Then if David is, even if he's not fabulously wealthy, but if he's got what he needs and he's happy, they would still, I don't know if jealous is the word, like they want it, but they're upset about the way that this is going.
Interesting. I'm trying to process that. I
would say, well, I can wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say, I guess, I don't know if you can read it this way, but to me, I was reading it not so much as jealous, like you're just jealous of your neighbor because like they have a thing that you want.
Yeah.
Which would require maybe fabulous wealth, but more like jealous in that they're bothered by his success at whatever level it's at. Because there's enemies.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to think about how many different jealousies we're talking about here. I feel like we've got several ideas swarming around. Oh yeah, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, what about the Yerk of Atzmon part, rather Ronnie? Is that the objective?
I don't think it's the objective. I think it is what is going to happen. That's how I'm reading it. Because I mean, you could read it that it is an objective, that like the influence he has on the people who are in our value system is going to draw them to emulate it. It's kind of like a Haki Ashinov type thing. Like you're not going to really reach the Russia, you know, by appealing to the values, but making him realize that he's missing something, you know, might be the only way to like get him. I'm not sure. Yeah, Chaim?
I was wondering also, did or do any of the Rishonim talk about a certain, like, is this perek about a certain period of time in David's life?
Yeah,
You know what
so
these tormentors are?
so we don't. So Radak quoted the midrashic interpretation earlier, and he identified the tormentors as, I think, Doeg and Achitophel.
Okay.
Tormentors is Doeg and Achitophel. But it's not. I don't think he's bringing that into his shot. I mean, he might say it's consistent with that, but yeah. Okay. I was gonna say one more thing also is, let's say David. This is just an elaboration on the point I was making in response to Oren, which is that let's say David does not think about his tormentors right now. So what's going to happen is people do things out of jealousy. So it's in his best interest to keep the reality of jealous tormentors in mind. And now that it's in mind, he should channel it in the proper way. Yeah.
I feel like you see this kind of thing a lot, especially with like Shabbos, where you'll have like
That's a good example.
non-Jews or non-religious Jews.
Yeah.
Who just like see people having like a nice Shabbos meal.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like this is actually like something that's good.
Yeah.
It's nice. Like, they're
Right.
really jealous of it.
Right. And the funny and the bone rotting, I mean, I from what I've seen, bone rotting in Tanakh is like an incurable disease. Like that's how they use it. And like they will not be able to get this because they're not living that lifestyle and they don't have a relationship with Hashem in that way. So like it is a envy that is insatiable, you know? Okay. Yeah.
I just think, is that the Zayim Tzaddik Baruch? I was like,
yeah, Shem Rishayim Yukah, but that's the shame though, right? Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking of the Eshes Chayil, Ateres Ba'ala, of Rekev Ba'atz Mosav, what kind of lashon uses for the woman? The opposite of Eshes Chayil, Mivisha, I think. So the shameful woman is rot in his bones. Yeah. Okay. Last pasuk. Ach tova chesed yirtefuni, ani modeh lecha b'tova shenasata li ad hayam. So I thank you for the goodness you've granted me until today. However, ze ani mevakish mimecha. This is what I ask from you. Shirdefuni tovacha tuvacha v'chastecha kol yimei chayai. That your good and your kindness chase me all the days of my life. V'lo yatriduni milchamos v'iskei ha'olam. And that so that I'm not troubled. Okay, and that I'm not troubled by wars and worldly matters. So there and then also Vishavti, that I may lanuach b'veis Hashem, that I find rest in the house of Hashem, lisbodit sham, so that I can I translated last time as meditate there. Meditate meaning on the Ma'aseh Hashem. V'achin libi u'machshavti la'avodaska lihudacha, and prepare my heart and thoughts for your service and your unity and your oneness. I don't like unity as the oneness. Vishavti, and I will repose, minyan shuva v'nachas, oye pirushu vishavti k'mashmao. Either it means I'll repose or it means I will, I think this is, meaning that, I don't think it's return and rest, repose and rest. Or that I will constantly go there, yasmin halichaso shama pamach pam. I'll go there again and again. Upirush beveis Hashem is makom ha'aron, because there was no mikdash there. Upirush la'orach yamim kamo she'amar kol yimei chayai. So it means the same thing. But he wants to have a long life and constantly good. So here we said that the idea here is like this, is that we've seen this idea in Tehilim before, but like as a king, he will have to deal with wars and like business, but as long as he is yearning to be free of that, to go back to the Beis Hashem again and again, so then that will keep him anchored in the value system of the Shem Hashem and Yichud Hashem. So yeah, that's the end of that. Okay, tomorrow, and then there's one major part of my theory that I didn't say last time, and that's what I want to say, and then we'll work it through. Yeah, tomorrow.
I was just wondering if in this explanation that we have like an explanation for your Defuni.
Yeah, good question. According to the way the Radak saying it, your Defuni just seems to be that like it will be constant and effortless, you know. That's just, he doesn't really like elaborate on the mechanics. You know, actually it fits in better. It's like what I was saying, that that most people, let's say, like, you know, what, you know, many of the people here are in the parsha Actually, no, that's not true anymore. Where you guys are working, but and you're not in college yet. So no, just you. No, as I say, like with homework, right? There's a phenomenon I've seen in yeshiva guys throughout the years where like there are guys where they will be anchored in the base midrash, and then sometimes tests and homework will pull them away, but then as soon as they're done with that, they'll come right back, But then there's other people who are attached to learning genuinely, but then they get involved in work or homework, and then they drift off and then just start to become preoccupied with that as their main pursuit, and then they just forget about this, So I think the imagery of the good and the kindness being like a magnet, like just snapping right back and him going right back to the house of Hashem, like suggests the idea that I'm saying is like he wants his attachment to the goodness of Hashem, to the values of Hashem to be such that like he's always going back to it, and the goodness of Hashem in the manner he described earlier should always come back to him. Or you could say the goodness and the kindness are like the real good and the real kindness, which is the Yedias Hashem. But I don't think that's what he's saying. Yeah. Okay. So let me just put this last piece, which I didn't say last time. Okay. Actually, let's just finish our summary first. Okay. So just as the shepherd's staff covers the sheep, blah blah blah. Okay, fine. So then we said, or the other yellow points here. That David depicts himself as someone whose needs are fully taken care of because he has like adjusted his needs to be in line with his nature and necessities instead of seeking superfluities. Okay, fine. So there's that, and then that's a very Pines more Nevuchim translation word. Okay, and then the last part is that he asks that Hashem help him to go about his kingly business without getting too preoccupied and losing sight of his prioritization of Yedias Hashem, and that he constantly return to the house of Hashem to be involved in his bodedus. Okay, so here's the question I want to ask. Okay. According to the whole idea that we said, you have a question first?
What does he bodedu mean in the way that you use
it?
Because I assumed you don't mean it in like the breast level.
No, I don't. I definitely don't mean the breast level. Is devoting his energies and time to the pursuit of Yedias Hashem and Ahavas Hashem. Yeah, I'm getting it from. I also don't think that's the Breslov way. Yeah. The term I'm getting this. I mean, Avram Ben Rambam was very big into this, and I think he, from what I've heard rumors that he takes it in more of like a Sufi type way. So, that does involve dancing, but no, I don't know. I don't know how he takes it, but the Rambam uses it at the end of perek Yud of not Yisrael Torah of Tshuva. The very very end. He says, Davar Yadua Ubarush in Ahavas Kadosh Baruch Hu Nikshers B'li B'Shal Adam Ad Sheyishke B'Tamid Karoi V'Yazov Kol Shabbalam Chutz Mimena. So it's known that the love of God is not bound up in a person's heart until he immerses himself in it constantly and abandons everything outside of it. Only with the knowledge that you know him with. Actually, I want to check something. Okay, so here's the thing. So okay, so here's the one on the right is the Rambam, what is it called? Hamaduyak? Right. But Altor recently put up the actual Sefer Hamuga, which is the one that the Rambam signed off on. And let's see what it says.
Yemenite aren't the biggest fan of that, right?
They're not, which I don't know why.
Wait, the Rambam Hamuduyak is not the best one?
No, because the unfortunate thing is that it is we only have the Rambam's personal copy through the end of Sefer Ava. So we don't have it on everything.
But wasn't there like a bunch of manuscripts found together with that, and so it's with the signed copy?
I don't remember the details. Ela b'dea sheyida'uhu ve'al pia dea al pia ava. So that is the that is the one. I mean, I think it means the same thing as the normal one, which means it's in proportion you know, the knowledge is in proportion to the love. If it's a little, if the knowledge is a little, the love will be little, and if the knowledge is a lot, the love will be a lot. Okay, then lefikach, here's the part I wanted to get to. Oh, he doesn't use the term he's bodidus. He uses the term liyachid, which is also to seclude oneself, or devote oneself single-mindedly. He should devote oneself single-mindedly, lahavin ulahaskil, to understand and comprehend the b'chachmos, you know, wisdoms and understandings, hamodino eskono, that teach him about his creator, kfi koach sheish ba'adam lahavin lahasik, according to man's capacity. Yeah, I don't know if the Rambam does use it somewhere, but I think Avram and Rambam uses it. Okay, so the question I want to ask is like this, okay? When should we say this? Like when, given these ideas, and I'm not saying there has to be one answer, but I have like a radical theory. That is Ken and I came up with this theory, but yeah.
I guess a radical theory.
Sure.
Tishba.
No,
Okay.
that is radical.
Wait,
Yeah.
like in terms of like a situation or
Yeah, situation. Because like the way we take these Tehilim is we learn the idea, and then we try to see when would we need to like
I'm assuming
say
definitely
this idea.
not with after inshallah.
I don't know. I think this actually does answer that question. I think this is going to answer that
I was
question.
gonna say, I think near the end of Shabbos is like the perfect time.
Yeah, why?
That's exactly when you're going into the week.
Yeah.
Right, and so you want to. I mean, I guess it's true for really any Tehilim perek. I don't know if it's true, but like you want to have the proper frame of mind for what your relationship to God should be. Right, you've just been in this like high state all the last 25 hours, and now you want to try to find a way to carry that through. For the
Okay,
next 6
so
days.
I mean, yes, you could say that about all Tehilim, but I think here, because you're going to go back into earning your livelihood and into the things that are going to distract you, right?
War.
Yeah, war, right? Well, I mean, we laugh, but like, you know, that's I guess that is going on now. But you know, worldly matters in this case, then I think it is you know, probably appropriate to go into Shabbos. Yeah, I have a more radical answer though. No. So oh, that is also good. Yeah, that actually would be good. We should be like sheep on Rosh Hashanah. Yeah. So here's what I was thinking. Okay, a lot of the Tehilim that David says about trusting in God and not fearing bad is clearly about cases where he is threatened. Okay, like his enemies are attacking him and stuff like that. We noted that in this thing, the enemies are not doing anything. They're just sitting there rotting in their bones, right? So my theory is this is Tehilim that you should say when things are going well for you, okay? In order to properly frame what you're experiencing as A, not kochi v'otim yadi, you know, and recognizing it comes from Hashem. B, moderating your exposure to the luxuries and the wealth, and realizing that like I should not get too involved in this, and I should really relate to this as a sheep, and to recognize that there are going to be people who are jealous of me, and how do I deal with that? I'm going to get in danger of being caught up in like pursuing more wealth. How do I deal with that? You know, what am I doing with all of this? Am I really doing this? Do I feel like I deserve it? Or am I doing this Laman Shemo? You know? And so this, I think, should be said, like, I've just never encountered Tehilim. We've encountered Tehilim like Ashrei, where it's just evergreen ideas that are always relevant to you. And we've encountered a lot of Tehilim that you say in crisis. You say this when things are going really well for you, to reframe it and maintain it. And I think this might also be why it is Gam Ki Elech B'Geit Maves. He's not in the Geit Maves right now, you know, and the shepherd, when things are going well, will not lead him through the Geit Maves typically, but even when he occasionally does have to go through the Geit Maves, then he'll be able to retain this thought. Yeah, Moshe?
So, well, I mean, what then is this not accomplishing, or what is the relationship between that and a bracha of Shechianu or a Tokametu?
I mean, those are completely different things. I mean, those are Hodah, right? This is, there is some Hodah in here, because he does say, Achta v'chesed yudifuni, but it's a bakasha. You know, it's a framing of everything that is going on around him that is supposed to remind him about how to relate to the Tuv Hashem, which is to relate to it as sheep being guided by a shepherd, Laman Shemo, you know, like, so it's reframing this. I mean, I don't know if you have something specific in mind when you brought up those two brachas, like we'd have to learn every bracha, but like, at the very least, those are not bakashas. This is a bakasha.
No, right.
Yeah.
But I would have all those, why can't at least in a, I guess I'm looking at it in a vague sense, but I mean, if this is supposed to ask, supposed to like, I mean, if this is, you're saying this is bakasha on asking God that while things are going well, that they continue to go, or that they.
Yeah, that they continue to go well, but I'm saying what that is it really is, I mean, like all these bakashos is God does not do magic. You're asking God for stuff to get you to realize that you need to align yourself with God's will, and then that's what gets you this stuff. You know, so in order for God to.
So why doesn't the bracha then put correct ideas in your mind? I mean, when I can.
They do.
So.
Every bracha is about something different, and every Tehilim is about something different. So you can't like demand that every bracha do what this perek of Tehilim is doing.
I guess I'm having a hard time seeing the difference. You're saying those brachas are about specifically things, and then this is.
I'm learning this perek of Tehilim. I'm not learning those brachos. If we want to learn those brachos, we'll learn them and see what ideas they're getting. But every bracha is, I mean, let's just review the purpose of brachos for a second. So the two best places are in the Chalukot Asfarim, where the Rambam says the purpose of all the mitzvahs in Sefer Ava is so all the mitzvahs in Sefer Ava are in order, are the mitzvahs that are perpetual, are constant, that are or regular, that in order to get you to love God and to remember Him constantly. And then in Hilchos Brachos, when he mentions the three categories of brachos, he says there's brachos on hana'ah, brachos on mitzvos, and then Kashem shemavarchim al hanaya kach mavarchim al mitzvah al kach ubrachos rabbos tikdu chachamim derech shevach v'hodaya v'derech bakasha. There are brachos of shevach, brachos of hodaya, and brachos of bakasha. They lizkor es habore tamid, to remember God constantly. And then he summarizes nimsu kol brachos kol shloshim minim. All the brachos are of three types: brachos hahanaya, brachos hamitzvos, brachos hahodaya. Shein derech shevach v'hodaya ubakasha kedei lizkor es habore tamid uliyira mimenu. So large scale is for Avas Hashem. Small scale is Yiras Hashem via Shevach, Bakasha, and Hodah. But every bracha you have to look at it and say, well, is it Shevach? Is it Bakasha and Hodah? If it's Shevach, what is it designed to do? If it's Bakasha, what am I asking for? If it's Hodah, then what am I thanking God for? So Shechianu and Hatov Metiv, we'd have to look at what those brachos are. But here I'm trying to say an idea for this perek. Yeah, Tamar?
I was just appreciating the idea of reading this when things are going well. I was thinking about it on two fronts, I guess.
Yeah.
One is that I think when you first read the perek, or when I first read the perek, it didn't seem very like relatable. It's like, oh well, like I don't have this experience. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But sometimes things are actually going really well, and I think like to be able to not just sit by passively, but to realize what the role is of things going fine,
Yeah.
is that you get to, I guess, return to the base of Shem.
Yeah, I mean, look, historically, when do Jews have the worst mistakes? Is when things are going well. Is Vayishma Yishun Vayivat, and so like if we don't, yeah, right, yeah, if we don't reframe when things are going well, and constantly reframe how to relate to our wealth and success, then we're going to just fall right into that trap of yeah, Tamar?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, right. So I feel like it's really an appropriate response. Like it's not like if you have a problem, you need to respond, and if everything's fine, then you don't have any responsibility. Like you should be thinking this way.
Yeah.
Which I think is really interesting. And then also I think it's, even if this is always true, it's maybe not always so easy to tap into it. But I think sometimes there are times where you can see like, wow, my job is just not actually so hard and I have time to learn, and you can actually appreciate it,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I was talking with someone in 2020. This is like shortly after Shahavat closed, and like I had just, started like trying to find a way to like earn a living again. And I was talking with someone also who was like trying to find a job. And like one of the things that we said, and I realized not everyone is in this position, but like no matter how bad things get, for me, it is very unlikely that I'm going to be on the street starving to death. Like that just won't happen given my parents, my community, the country I live in, like my skills, like I'm just at this point, that's just not a realistic thing. And like that's something to have extreme hoda for, like even when I felt like things weren't as good. And by the way, I think that's the other theory is if you look at the Mefarshim and say, you see when they say you should say this, you got some people like Elia de Nולה who is saying you say this when you are just asking for livelihood. You had the Radak at the beginning saying you say this in crisis. You had other people saying this when things are, when you want salvation. So the funny thing is that this can double for those different roles also. Like, because when you are in a state of lack and you want goods, you have to remember what they're for. And that also makes, and you also have to like, again, adjust your expectations to what is actually like in line with your needs. And I was going to connect this to Shabbos also, is that on Shabbos, I mean, especially for us, things really are going well. So in addition to the rule that Oren was saying about like, as you go into the work week, we are immersed in the goodness of Hashem and bounty on Shabbos. And like, you can't just luxuriate in that and like, let it get to your head in the ways that cause destruction. You have to like reframe that, in this positive way. So anyway, that's my theory based on the Radak. I do think Isaiah's thing is consistent with this, because if you do read this doubly about Olam Haba, then it works out even better, because then you're framing like everything we're doing here is for Yedias Hashem, and that's going to culminate in like Olam Shkula Tov. Yeah, Isaiah, we gotta go soon.
It's interesting because with my idea, I was thinking of it like you should say it in a crisis time.
Yeah, right.
Because like the way I was thinking about it is like God, even though things seem bad right now or something bad is happening, like God always does like basic goods for you because he's always like preparing you on like a certain path that is, intended for your ultimate good, which is in line with like what we're saying for the Radak also.
Yeah.
And so like, I think you could say this perek also in a time of crisis.
Yeah, this is a very, very flexible perek. And I think, so I really like this. I'm glad we got the Radak here. Just reminder, next week, no shiur, because I'm going to be in Connecticut doing parent-teacher conferences at night. What was I going to say? And also, the next perek I'd like to do, I believe, let's just double check this, is one that we don't know. Okay, and it is it's weird. Tehilim 65. Okay. And this is L'cha Dumya Sehila. Okay. But if you look at the context, it is bizarre and the contents are bizarre. And so that'll be so if you want to start looking at it and getting the words, it's wild to read. But okay, I gotta stop now because Mario's starting. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks.